So with that, I'm very pleased to start us off with session 3, effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on children and families. And our first presentation will be Claire Kamp Dush, talking about family relationship quality among racially and sexually diverse parents, mediating and moderating roles of marginalization and mental health. And it looks like this is already set up. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everyone. Let's see here. Did I click it? Got it. Right? I pressed this button.
It didn't go up on the screen. So, may I take a peek real quick?
Yep.
I don't know why. There you go. I don't know why. Here.
All right. Hello, everyone. So apparently my title changed from whenever I submitted it to now. So I'm going to be talking about loneliness today and relationship quality. And I thought it was really telling that I got the New York Times today at the hotel, and on not the top half of the fold, but the bottom half was an article, Loneliness Shapes Behaviors and May Shape Our Brains, on the front page. So if you need any extra evidence that loneliness matters for health and for well-being, it's right there in the New York Times for you. So check that out. Okay, this way. So our team on our UO1 is my colleague Ann Meyer, who's my co-PI. And then the work that I'm going to be talking about today is actually being led by our fabulous research scientist, Alexandra Van Bergen. Alex has a PhD in human development and family science from Ohio State. She's been working with our project for about 2 years now, I think. And she has some expertise in couple and family therapy too. So she brings a really cool lens to us demographers on our project. And also a grad student, Sierra Clark, who's a research assistant on our project in sociology, and Hunjae Kwan, who is my grad student in sociology and also is on our project. So for this project, our goals were to think about sexually diverse individuals in our study. And so sexually diverse individuals can face unique stressors due to cis heterosexism. I just was on social media last night and saw this great video. Hopefully this will eventually change, where this woman told her kids about coming out and was trying to explain it to her 5- and 7-year-old. They were so confused. Why do people have to come out? Why is that even a thing? And so for those of us that are older, we remember times whenever, you know, in media, you have to be careful what old movies you show your kids because they might have different jokes. So it's just kind of baked into a lot of different things. And it's only been in the past 5 to 10 years that we've been pushing back on that a lot more, and you don't see those jokes as much. But even watching a show from 2018, you're going to see inappropriate jokes that perpetuate cis heterosexism. So it's kind of baked into things. So stress can undermine relationship quality among family members. And the reason why that matters is because our relationship quality is completely associated with our health. And so we know that people that have better family relationships, better satisfying intimate relationships, and better satisfying family relationships in general tend to have better mental health. And also it's even associated with your physical health. The minority stress model argues that our experiences for people that are sexually diverse or people that experience marginalization, their experiences of stress impacts their everyday experiences and impacts their health. And family systems theory is a model that argues that when one family member experiences something, it influences other family members as well. So I always like to explain it like you think about the family as a clock in a series of cogs that go together. If you change one part of the cog, it's going to infect all the other parts of the system. So it's used to assess so bringing these two together, we're going to be thinking about the consequences of marginalization within families. That some of that marginalization is coming from outside of families, but it also can come from within families. If your parents aren't, like coming back to the coming out, you had to come out if your parents weren't being accepting, right? So if you tell your family member that you are gay or lesbian or whatever sexual or gender identity you have, and they're not being supportive, then that can really impact your well-being and your experiences. And you can even internalize these not being accepted by your family. And families, you know, as a family researcher, it's so important and so central to everything about our lives. I would like joke, you listen to any song on the radio and like family relationships come up in almost everything, TV shows, everything. So they're just so central to who we are as people. And so our question was, how does marginalization at our baseline associate with parent-child relationship stress, loneliness, and couple relationship satisfaction 1 year later? So we had a really brief 5-minute follow-up to our study, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So our survey baseline data was collected during 2020 to 2021. We were just getting ready to go in the field in February 2020 when this thing called COVID-19 started in March. And so we pivoted and added a bunch of different questions to our survey to ask about COVID. We also asked about racial trauma stress, especially in particularly related to the murder of George Floyd. We asked about different experiences of discrimination. We added an Asian oversample. So there were just a lot of different things we were pivoting to during that year. To help get our next round of our grant, we worked with Gallup. These data were collected by Gallup to collect some survey data, some follow-up survey data. So we have about 3,000 MAME respondents, 3,600, I believe, that are, everyone's partnered. They are all between the ages of 20 and 60. We have over samples of people that are sexual and gender minorities, in particular people that are sexual minority. We recruited from people answering yes to a question was, do you identify as LGBTQ? So that was a way that people got into the sample. So we have these nice over samples that help you fully power some of these analyses. Everyone's married and cohabiting, a majority of people are married, and they're racially diverse. So for this study, and then we have about 87% of the baseline sample at our follow-up, and we're focusing on parents of children under 18 in the household here. And our data are available from ACPSR, in particular, the data sharing for demographic research. We also have partner data and time diary data and lots of different kinds of data in the data set. And it also has been hooked up to the IPM's contextual determinants of health data, and you can get all of those data through the data sharing for demographic research. They are an awesome, amazing team. And there's even a virtual data enclave that you can go into to access the data and work with it. And you can have the full MAME respondent and the partner and do all kinds of cool things with the data. So check that out. So the measures I'm going to be focusing on today, and our measures are a little bit different because of the family researchers that designed the survey than you might see in some other surveys. So we have these family relationship quality indicators, and so it's for every child, how stressful is your relationship with that child, from very stressful to not stressful at all. We also have the couple satisfaction index, and that is a measure of how satisfied couples are with their relationship. And an example of a question is, I have a warm and comfortable relationship with my spouse. We also have the UCLA loneliness scale. And it's how often did you feel some 3 different items, and one of them is a lack of companionship, for example. And this is actually really well-validated scale. It's only 3 items. So if you're ever working on a survey and you want to throw in a measure of loneliness, this is a great scale, and it's short. So as someone who designs surveys, it's nice when they're short. And then for marginalization indicators, we had 2 measures of family acceptance. Your family members are accepting of your current partner as part of the family, and your current partner's family members are accepting of you as part of the family. And then we also have the everyday discrimination scale. And an example of some items on that are I'm treated with less respect than other people, or if you experience being threatened or harassed. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a structural equation model, and just warning you, there's a lot of arrows in this model. We are estimating the missing data here with a full information maximum likelihood. So this is an autoregressive cross-lag model. So basically, what it's trying to establish, and one thing I like about these kinds of models is it can help establish temporality. So for example, you see that relationship satisfaction at baseline, it predicts loneliness and parent-child relationship stress at follow-up, but loneliness and parent-child relationship stress are not predicting relationship satisfaction. So, I'm not trying to argue at all that this is causal, but I like the fact that you can look at these associations. And so the way you can think about things on the far left, those are the LGBTQ parenting status. Those are, I should probably say that you're coded as LGBTQ if you're not heterosexual and you are not cisgender. So in our study, we have very full measures of people's sexual identities and people's gender identities. And okay, so let me walk you through this. First of all, just looking at the relationship satisfaction to parent-child relationship stress. So of course, relationship satisfaction at baseline, loneliness at baseline, and parent-child relationship stress at baseline all predicted, themselves at the follow-up, which isn't surprising. It's one thing that people underestimate is we think about loneliness lots of time for people that are single, and everybody in our study is partnered. So I just want to point out that you can be lonely even if you're partnered, and actually it's very powerful to the predictor of health if you are lonely and you are partnered. That sucks. And so it's something that we need to think about for everybody and not just for people that are single. Anyway, back to this. And also that's making a lot of assumptions about single people and the fact that they don't have beautiful, wonderful social lives. So just throwing that out there. But we found that relationship satisfaction did predict loneliness and parent-child relationship stress at the second time point, which for parent-child relationship stress, I was a little bit surprised by this. And that comes back to that family systems theory where different relationships in the family can affect other relationships. And so we also found that LGBTQ parents reported lower family acceptance, which is unsurprising, but they also reported higher loneliness and higher parent-child relationship stress at baseline compared to heterosexual or straight parents. We found that family acceptance was associated with loneliness, relationship satisfaction, and parent-child relationship stress at baseline. And also it was associated with higher loneliness at follow-up through that lower level of relationship satisfaction and higher levels of loneliness at baseline. And lower family acceptance was indirectly associated with parent-child relationship stress at follow-up, again, through that relationship satisfaction and parent-child relationship stress at baseline. We didn't find as much going on with discrimination, which was interesting. Perhaps the family acceptance, which is more central to your experiences and maybe a little bit closer, was having a more powerful impact or had a larger impact in this study. So this is something that we're working on. Our next steps, because I have 5 minutes left, are to think about how family acceptance might be a mechanism that could explain some disparities in loneliness and parent-child relationship stress for LGBTQ plus parents over everyday discrimination. And what's important to always remember with this is that it's not people's identities that are causing them to somehow have more negative experiences in their well-being or in their relationships. It's the fact that their identities are influencing their other relationships around them. And that is, and all of that is coming from the fact that cis heterosexism is often baked into everything, right? Even when you meet somebody, you might say, oh, you assume people, I try not to assume the gender of people's partners. It's just like one thing I've been trying not to do for the past 3 years is if I meet someone, not assuming if they look like a cisgender woman that they're with a cisgender man and they're married. So just little things that we can do to try to push back against that cis heterosexism. Some of our next steps include modeling outcomes with our couple level identities. We started putting in education into our models. These models are, there's lots of power issues when you're trying to look at all of these things at the same time. So we did look at education and it didn't really change our results much. We're also thinking about family concealment and when people are concealing their identities. And then we also want to look at some within group variation just among our LGBTQ plus parents. Lots of anti-racism scholars are calling for more within race analyses because we're constantly centering white people. They're almost always the excluded group. Now, they're the most privileged group, so I can understand them being the excluded group. But when we don't look at within race heterogeneity, or in this case, within LGBTQ heterogeneity, we're missing the fact that some people are thriving and doing really great. And like, what is leading to people doing really great and having really great families, and what's leading to people having more problems? So we're also going to try to do some within LGBTQ plus models as well. And that's it. Thank you. Also, I also want to thank, because we don't have a slide item for it, our U01 funding, which is amazing, from NICHD. And actually, this entire project is funded by NICHD, and I work with an incredible group of people there.